Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. I'm joined by Ben Foster, final one of the season, but lots to talk about, Ben. I want to talk about the FA Cup because you've got some interesting ideas on how Man United can take on this Man City game, and so's Wayne Rooney. But Ten Hag, he's got top four. We've got the battle of the kits, red car and the blue car.
Red car and the blue car. I've just been singing it a few minutes ago, by the way. They're nice topsies, by the way, aren't they?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Let us know in the chat which one you prefer. But Ten Hag said at the end of the game that last season, it was a hard job to convince players to come to Manchester United, but big players really want to come here. He won't stop talking about transfers, which is great, and he won't stop talking about the quality of players. Definitely laying it down for the fans to say, look, I want to bring players in. Yep. It's up to the board. What's your thoughts on that from Erik Ten Hag? Mason Mount's been linked to them this week. Apparently he was quite emotional at the end of the game for Chelsea yesterday. So Declan Rice has been linked to them as well. Obviously the Harry Kane thing. What's your thoughts on the summer for Man United and what Ten Hag's trying to do? Yeah,
big summer. And I don't blame him either. He's got to... He has to put pressure on the board by saying, I want players. We need players. It's as simple as that. The fans know that you need players. You need to rebuild. You need to sell a few players, which is inevitable. So players will be moved on, but you have to bring quality in. And Ten Hag, I think, with the signings that he's done so far, you can... Whether they've fully worked or not, it just shows the way that he wants to go, at least. And I think the way that they finished this season in particular, this season has been a success for Man United. It has. It's been an absolute success. Fantastic result again at the weekend. Fantastic result against Chelsea. And still got an FA Cup final to go. So this season has been a success. So they just need to keep building. Again, maybe not going to rip up any trees next season, not going to really challenge Man City, you wouldn't have thought, but they're going in the right direction. So he needs to put that pressure on the board to say, listen, we need to invest in players.
What was your thoughts about Mason Mount? Because apparently this is a player that Ten Hag liked when he was at Ajax. Mason Mount apparently went on loan over in the Netherlands. Bit of a surprise, but he did look emotional at the end yesterday. I mean, maybe Poch can change his mind, but it looks like he's sort of got his heart set on a Man United move, and that could mean Declan Rice as well. Do you think those two are the sort of players that United should be going for? Yeah,
for sure, I do. I like Mason Mount. I think it's inevitable that he's going to go, which is a strange one for me, because if I'm Chelsea, I'm thinking, do you know what? I'm playing Mason Mount in the majority of games in there. I'm not saying he's going to start every game, but I think he is the sort of player that you need in that midfield. You know what he's going to do. He's a dog. In possession, he's okay. He's decent in possession, but what he will give you is pure graft and work rate, and he'll get about the place, and that's exactly the sort of players that you need. So I think, if you can get him for 50-odd mil, 60 mil maybe, cooking, get him in through the door. And like you say, that then opens the door for a possibility of a Declan Rice as well. Yeah. You can imagine signing them too. That's a big boost. That's a massive boost, that is.
Be interesting to see how it goes. Look, it's the FA Cup final. That's what we really want to talk about. We're building towards that this week. What a game. It has been a great season for United. 75 points, 4 points clear of Newcastle. Yeah. FA Cup final, Carabao Cup final. Would be really, really strong season for United if they didn't have City trying to do a treble, and it all comes down to this game on Saturday. Wayne Rooney said in the paper at the weekend that he would play a 4-4-2 with Rashford and Martial up front and four midfielders playing no further than 6 metres apart, compact, which a lot of people ridiculed, but I sort of understood what he meant. Yeah. You've played against Man City. You've been you thought they're going to break the Premier League record score. You know what it's like against them. If you've got to beat that Man City side at Wembley, which is a big pitch, how would you... First, we'll talk about players in a minute, but how would you approach that game as United? Because we've seen Arsenal go to the Etihad this season, open up. We've seen Real Madrid do it, and they've paid the price. Has he just got to sit in and counter, or is there a different way of doing it?
No, you've got to sit in and counter. Man City, right, if they are on form, they're on song, and they score an early goal, it's game over, yeah? It's as simple as that. It is basically trying to get that first goal. That's all they want to do is get that first goal, because as soon as they get that first goal, whoever they're playing against have to open up a little bit, and the game becomes just easier for them. It's as simple as that. So take no notice of their last couple of Premier League games where they played Brighton, and Brighton looked incredible because they're on the front foot and they're pressing. Yeah. Man City don't care.
Second gear,
They're in second gear, absolute second gear. They're playing a B team to start with. They are not doing what they would normally do. Even against Brentford at the weekend, they're not doing it properly. So don't read anything into it. It is as simple as that. We did a podcast, actually, a couple of weeks ago with Oracle, and Oracle are the stats people, okay? And they had this brilliant stat that we saw, which was their average their team width with the ball and their team width without the ball. And Man City, with the ball, had the biggest gap between players. So they were so wide. So literally wingers would stand on the lines and the two midfielders would be in the middle. That's how wide they were. They would just stretch it as big as they possibly could. But conversely, without the ball, they were the thinnest team, basically. They would be the tightest team. So it just goes to show you that whether you want to stay inside or whether, they'll still have like down the sides. They'll still have so much width down the sides. So either way, you're going to be struggling. They'll just go down the sides and put balls into the box for Big Haaland.
Which they couldn't do last year, so they're harder,
exactly.
Aren't they? Yeah.
So then now that goes to prove that signing Haaland is just exactly that missing piece of the puzzle, because when teams do sit in, they'll just go down the sides and they'll put balls into the box. And we saw Haaland this season already, getting on the end of balls into the box against Manchester United and scoring headers and scoring tap-ins at back post. So, yeah, for me, it's a really tough game. They are obviously going to have to sit in a little bit. If they try and open up against Man City can pick them off and it could be trouble. But the main thing that I want to see is just them fighting. I just want to see Man United players fighting. Like, that badge on their shirt is the be-all and end-all. You've got to realise the pride of these Man United fans. This is bragging rights for a long time, this is. You know, the next time Man United play Man City could be in another 3, 4, 5 months' time. This is bragging rights. So as long as they fight and give it all, if Man United lose, the fans can at least say, you know what, we gave it all.
1977, Manchester United won the FA Cup and stopped Liverpool winning what would have been a treble. We've got to do it again in 2023. Just going through the team quickly. De Gea in goal.
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka at right back. Left back. Now, well, this is an interesting thing. Luke Shaw and Varane played against Haaland in January and kept him quiet.
Yeah.
Do you do that and put Malacia at left back, or do you stick with Lindelof and Varane and put Luke Shaw to left back?
Luke Shaw left back. Come on.
Would you? Yeah. No, I'd put him left centre back.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm playing Luke Shaw left back. I'm playing your big boys in centre back. I'm playing Lindelof, because, like you say, if Man United are going to sit in, which they probably will, and Man City are getting balls into the box, you need that height. You need a bit of angriness sort of thing. And I just think, it's too much of a risk. It is. It's too much. I like Wan-Bissaka against Man City. I think Wan-Bissaka against Man City is tailor-made for that game. You know, he hasn't got to worry about getting the ball and getting on the front foot and marauding up the pitch. He knows his job role. Sit in, stay in your slot, and you are one of the best 1v1 defenders in the world, so just do that for the game.
Yeah, I think he will pick Lindelof. Midfield's really interesting. We've seen time and time again this season he goes with Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno, and they have been run over a little bit away from home. Fred played yesterday. Do you take Eriksen out and bring Fred in? Bit of tenacity in there, or do you go with Eriksen?
Yeah, that's probably the big one, really. That's probably going to be the 50-50 one.
I'd leave Eriksen out.
Yeah, I'd say tenacity and having somebody who can just run and dog is going to be the most...
I'd probably put McTominay in ahead of Eriksen. People would be amazed by that, but I'm like, at least he's going to tackle.
But he's not going to see much of the ball. No. Eriksen is not going to see much of the ball. The game for Man United
that's his strength,
is about working as hard as you possibly can. If you get a set piece, if you get some sort of flash of brilliance at the other end of the pitch, then you've got to take advantage of it. But Eriksen is not going to be having time to get on the ball and dictate play. Bruno will do that. Let Bruno, that be his job role. Do you know what I mean? I think that will probably help everybody out as well. As long as Bruno knows he's the only guy that's going to be able to get on the ball and really sort of dictate a bit of play, the other two around him can just say, all right, we can just sit in here and chill and work.
Containers, yeah, definitely. And front three is interesting. You could go, Anthony's apparently going to be back, so you could go Anthony, Sancho, Rashford, or you could go Sancho, Rashford. Well, really, do you go Rashford down the middle or do you go Martial down the middle?
You go Rashford down the middle. Ooh. I think you go Rashford down the middle.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
He was very, very quiet yesterday, Rashford down the middle, though.
This is my problem for Man United, where it sort of starts to fall down a little bit. I quite like that back sort of seven. I do. I like that back seven. I think that sort of almost picks itself and it's solid and you know what you're going to get from them. It's when you get to this bit here and you start throwing, and this is no disrespect to people like Sancho or whoever. When you look at that Man City front three, it's just trouble written all over it. It's absolute trouble written all over it. This is the bit for me here where you know they're not really going to see much of the ball. You know, you could genuinely envisage Jadon Sancho touching the ball 10 times in that first half, couldn't you? It's as simple as that. So do you go for that, or do you maybe sort of pull them back a bit and sit in? I don't really know. This is a bit where Erik ten Hag has to earn his money.
I just think you've got to work. Whoever he plays, they've got to work. That's all
off.
They're going to do.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to work hard and live off scraps.
Are you going to get that off Jadon Sancho?
You're going to get it off Marcus Rashford.
Exactly.
You're going to get it off Anthony Martial. I mean, I think Anthony, if he's fit, would be good for that.
Yeah. And he will work. He'll give you some work rate at least.
I don't know. You could even do something weird and put a left back at left wing, couldn't you?
You could, exactly that, yeah.
I think I can see why Rashford down the middle makes sense because of pace, but then he's so good off the left. But then, yeah, I think it's be interesting. Where are you going to go with this, hand on heart? What do you think? Because I've seen, and you're probably old enough, so I was on about this today, I've seen Wimbledon beat Liverpool in a cup final. I'm not having any of this, it's over, because the FA Cup final is the place for a shock. And it's not a major shock, it's just, I think, City are favourites.
I think, do you know what? Even though, like I say, don't read anything into Man City's last 2 games, obviously the Brighton and Brentford results. Either way, right, they drew and lost them games. And having played in end-of-season games, once you start getting on a losing run, I'm not saying it's going to happen to Man City, but it does sink in a little bit. It's like, oh, we're not unbeatable. We're actually not unbeatable. We've just lost to Brentford and we drew against Brighton. So it does change your mentality a little bit. So without you even knowing, it will change your mentality a little bit. But what it comes down to is if Man City can score an early goal. If Man City score an early goal, it's game over. I promise you, it is trouble.
I think it'll either be a tight win for United, or they'll get tonked.
I can see it. I can see either way.
One of the two.
I genuinely can. I played in the... Well, I didn't play. I was watching from the sidelines in an FA Cup final against Man City a few years back, and they absolutely battered us. 6-0. Aurelio Gomez in goal. He could have... He saved, honestly, about 7 or 8 shots. It could have been double figures, that game could have been. They scored, I think they were 3-0 up at half-time or something like that. But that's the problem. If they score early goal, you have to open up, you do, because you can't go down with a whimper. Man United can't go down with a whimper and just sort of sit in and just think, we'll just keep it to 1-0. No chance. You have to go for it. It's an FA Cup final.
And it's dangerous, isn't
it? The weather looks like it's going to be absolutely booming, so it's going to be really hot in Wembley. That's going to have an effect on the players as well. But I just hope you see some real good football and everybody running around like madmen.
We'll see what happens. Pleasure as always.
I'm going to go for you. I didn't actually give you like a score result.
I was going to let you sit on the fence.
No, I'm not going to sit on the fence. I totally agree with you. I think it's either going to be a tight 1-0 or 2-1. Yeah. Even a draw, maybe going into extra time or something. Or it could be an absolute bloodbath and Man City just run riot and it could be 4.
What are you going with then?
Man United 2-1 win.
Yeah, there we go.
Man United 2-1 win.
I'll give you mine later in the week, but I think it will be one of those two. It's been a pleasure having you on this season.
No, it's been good. Thank you for having me.
I know you're off on your holidays and stuff now.
Yeah.
This is what footballers do. Get June and July.
It looks like I've been on holiday already. Look at how brown I am. That's just a golf tan, you know. This is just pure golf tan.
Yeah.
It's great, isn't it?
That's my tan as well from just being in my bedroom. Thanks for coming on.
Pleasure, mate.
And I've got a cracking interview coming up for you later as well from Carrington, so we're looking forward to that. And obviously we'll react to any news. It is a bank holiday in the UK, but we've got lots for you and the 8 o'clock show. Catch you all later. Smash a like, get your comments in below on everything we've discussed.